Welcome, everyone. It's really nice to see you today in here. So let's dive in. What's more challenging, a mission to Mars or basically uniting space? Well, when we start with this, then people often, when we talk about the greatest challenge of humanity, people often say it's reaching Mars. And I totally get it. It's incredibly difficult. You need decades of planning, billions of euros, and thousands of people working on the same cause across several continents for plenty years, for many, many years. But sometimes I wonder, what if it's more difficult to unite the space sector down here on Earth rather than orchestrating a mission to Mars? So let's dive in and start with Mars. A Mars mission is basically the orchestration of perfection. You need to have every single piece in place and to make them work in harmony. Propulsion, communication, navigation, thermal control, life support, especially if you have a crewed mission. And these are really hard things to do. You basically have to plan for the unpredictables. You have to predict them. You have to plan ahead. You have to test. You have to simulate. And there is no such a thing that if something goes wrong, you just send a technician to Mars and just fix it, at least not yet. So we really see the complexities of this. But let's dive a bit, or let's come back to Earth a bit. In the global space work field, women make up roughly a quarter of all professionals. And in engineering or leadership, this number is even smaller. This is not because of the lack of talent. This is because back in the day, talent looked in a certain way. And we know that this is changing, but it's not fast enough. We already see from data that diversity actually improves innovation. And we need that. We need a lot of that, actually. We need diverse minds to solve complex problems, for example, reaching Mars. We need diverse, not just minds, but diverse peoples, diverse perspectives, and unite them. That's how we create a united space industry, basically. Because I think we all agree on one single thing, that the space sector is all about collaboration and cooperation. But how would we reach actually that if we don't include people and we don't let them speak at the table? So we should really consider this. And regarding that, actually, women have always been there in the space history, even though we did not really form the narrative beforehand. For example, we have Valentina Tereshkova, who was the first woman in space long before some countries allowed women to drive. Or we have Margaret Hamilton, who literally coined the term software engineering, and she wrote the code that made Apollo landings possible. And nowadays, female astronauts carry these legacy. But regarding female astronaut, there's this small label that we use. Why do we use that at all? When I'm working on something and I have to refer to myself in a certain way, or someone refers to me in a certain way, there's often this phrase, female engineer, female entrepreneur, whatever. But I don't want to be a female entrepreneur. I don't want to be a female engineer. I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to be an engineer. And I get these terms, but we don't say really like male doctors or male lawyers. It does not make any sense. The same goes with subsystems if we want to compare them to the Mars mission, for example. We have many subsystems, that's fine, and they all have their own names, but we don't create additional labels to them. So for example, if we have the electrical subsystem and we use solar panels there, we don't say it's a solar panel powered electrical subsystem, because it does not make sense. Same goes with this. if we start to emphasize these and we start creating labels or tags, we basically create a split, which we don't really want to do, because it creates a category or a feel of rareness. And I don't want to be like one of the cool ones. I want to be one of many. And I think diversity really works when it's being unnoticed. Diversity can work if we basically just notice that people are working together well and everyone is included. Regarding this, actually, there's also another term. I think we all heard about this throughout our lives, especially women here, which is, let's stick together, girls. So let's dive a bit deep into what does that actually mean? Like, girls. Okay, so we exclude other people, basically, who are not girls. Why do we do that? We're just trying to remove walls instead of... So we are trying to remove walls, but instead of it, we basically create new ones. Why do we do that? It does not matter which side are you picking in this battle, if you want to say so, if you're still building a wall. So if you want to differentiate, then try to find a way that is actually like more inclusive, because this differentiation also creates a small subgroup within women. And I mean, I get the phrase, it can be very powerful and it's out of solidarity, and that's fine. But we basically exclude allies, men, basically everyone who are not girls, colleagues, even mentors. And that's not good. It's not good for anyone, basically. So the other thing with this phrase is sticking. Why sticking? I mean, we are not just sticking around. We are building something. We are in this together. We should really use the proper words for that. That's where it starts. So instead of, let's stick together, girls, we could use maybe a phrase like, let's build together, everyone. I think that's more inclusive, no? So after all, we also do this for the subsystems, no? Or for spacecrafts. We differentiate between them, as I've already mentioned, but at the end of the day, we build them together to work as a complete system. That's how we should also operate, and not falling behind with resilience within our teams. If we can reach Mars or reach other planets, then why cannot we include resilience in our teams, which makes it possible at the end of the day. So to summarize it all, which is more difficult, reaching Mars or a mission to Mars and like bringing people back, or really making space for everyone? I think we might not need to even think about two different missions here, because one is needed for the other. So I think this is space exploration at its core. Collaboration, cooperation, changing directives, changing perspectives when it's really needed, and it's needed. So space exploration is not just about like building rockets or exploring other worlds or other planets, but also redesigning our own minds, our own perspectives in order to reach them. That's what I wanted to say today, and I hope you enjoyed. So thank you so much for your attention.